And we are live. Welcome to another edition of DT Live. Tonight's stream is going to be the meme live stream. Hope everybody is doing well this evening. Give me just a second to get some stuff set up here. For those of you that are already hanging out in the chat, we got about 80, 90 folks already here early in the stream. Give me a yay or a nay on the audio. I'm not monitoring the audio myself. And I will try to catch up on some of the chat here. We got a super chat here from Joshua. Play D&D with me. I'm trying to get fellow Linux creators together. I don't know what D&D is. Is it Dungeons and Dragons? If it is, I really don't know anything about it. I don't know what platform the game is on or anything about it, so I don't think I would be a very good player of that game. So we're probably going to have to decline that one. Let's see. Why is there a picture of Richard Stallman for the thumbnail of the stream? I just thought it was appropriate because so many of the meme photos we'll take a look at, no doubt, are going to involve Richard. Most Linux memes, you know, they're going to involve Richard in some way. Somebody was asking about the GNU herd kernel. Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe one day. Yeah, foot skin at its best. I don't know if we'll look at Richard eating his foot. I think most people have seen that by now. I think everybody's seen that video. Everybody says yay on the audio. Good deal. All right. Hidori says, hi DT, first time seeing your live session. Been watching your channel for a while, started on Ubuntu. Now on Arch as of today. Of course you're on Arch. I mean, it's the meme distro, right? That's... If we're talking about memes, I mean, that's defines what a meme distro is. I know people get mad when I call certain Linux distributions meme distributions, but Arch qualifies. Yes, DT, did you know you can configure any window manager in 2 seconds by... Yeah, don't do that. Don't run RMRF. That's a bad idea. Let's see. Aram says, I shaved my head and I installed Arch on my laptop. What next? You need to get into tiling window managers. That's the only thing left. And Emacs, right? Got to do that. Everyone will make it to Arch. Yeah, I agree. That's a tech hut there. Yeah, everyone will eventually make their way to Arch if you give them enough time. All right, guys. I don't know how long the stream's going to be tonight. This one may be short, maybe I don't know. Typically I try to go about an hour and a half. I don't know. We may only go 30, 45 minutes this evening. Been running around all day. The time change really messed me up today too. Losing that hour, that always sucks. Gaining the hour later in the year, that's awesome. But I really wish we just did away with the whole daylight savings thing. It's more of a hassle than... I mean, it really serves no purpose these days anyway. Let me switch to my desktop here. I'm in a tiling window manager today called Qtile. Qtile is a meme tiling window manager because it's written in Python, which is a meme programming language, right? Although these days I would say the meme is Rust, right? Everybody's writing things in Rust. Let me launch my Doom Emacs here. I guess we'll view these meme photos here in Doom Emacs. For those of you that are familiar with Doom Emacs, I know I'll get questions about it here in a minute. Yes, I did modify the front page, the dashboard here for Doom Emacs. I did change the ASCII art to something not so Doom-like as far as the old Doom game. You know, that looked a little too big and gaudy, so I changed it to just some more plain ASCII text blocks. I also added a few different key bindings there on the front. But anyway, we may talk about that on a future video. But let me go to this folder here on my system. I've got this folder called Memes. And here in Doom Emacs, let me... I don't need to zoom in. You guys don't need to read the text because I'm going to show you images. But what I do need to do is turn on image previews inside DearEd here in Emacs. So I don't know what some of these are going to be. Hopefully none of them are going to be too crazy. Although I don't think I typically save anything too crazy. Because I know eventually I'll probably get around to showing some of these on camera. I found this one the other day. I can't remember where I got this. Probably somewhere on Reddit. It is not a Linux-related meme, but it did make me laugh because there are 3 types of men. We got the guy here, you know, with his girlfriend. Oh, that's sweet. And this guy here, of course, he's got 3 different chicks, right? And the one guy over here off by himself. So there you go. There are 3 types of men. Getting into more, I guess, Linux meme stuff. This is actually an animated GIF, and that will not render right here inside Dear Ed here in Emacs. So I actually need to open that with something. Let's open that up with. I wonder if I could open that up with SXIV and would it play? No, it doesn't look like SXIV will play an animated GIF. What about FEH? Or maybe I just, you know what, I may have not even saved it properly. Maybe that's why it's not running. Yeah. But anyway, you guys have probably seen this particular GIF. Let's see if I can do a quick search for it. Because it is a funny GIF. If those of you familiar with the movie Jurassic Park, I know everybody's seen that movie. It'll probably take me too long to search for that GIF. I'll just move on. People are going to ask, the drink tonight, of course, is just coffee. So, now this is probably the most classic meme going these days as far as Linux memes. Because once somebody pointed it out, you can never unsee it. The Arch logo, if you just look at a standard Arch logo, let me pull that up. Because it's funny when somebody mentioned this, like you really can't unsee it once you've seen it. Let me make sure. Why is this not capturing my windows here? I should have had everything set up. I actually arrived just a couple of minutes before starting the stream. But doing a search for the classic Arch logo here, somebody mentioned, why is the bottom of the Arch logo look like a really fat guy? You know, like the head and the broad shoulders. Somebody mentioned that, you know, a few years ago. And of course, that started this meme, right? Then people had to actually put the guy in the logo. But even without this, now, you know, once you've seen it, you can never, ever look into Arch logo without seeing that guy there, right? It's just permanently in your brain at that point. Yeah, the guy in the GIF that wouldn't play, yeah, that's the same guy played Newman from Seinfeld. Yeah, he played one of the programmers in Jurassic Park. He was the guy that complained that he, you know, bid the job too cheaply. And of course, you had the little girl that was so excited because she knows those Unix systems they were running. Jurassic Park, what a great movie. Of course, they had to run Unix systems because I think Jurassic Park came out in 90 or 91. Of course, Linux wasn't a thing then. The kernel might have been a thing, but you know, a GNU / Linux operating system wouldn't really become a thing for a couple of more years after that. And somebody, Annie, thanks for the super chat. Brief word on why Python is a meme and which programming languages are non-memes. Well, the memes are, you know, I would say are the ones that are popular and everybody has to tell you that you need to learn it. Like Python was kind of that language for a while. These days it's Rust, right? Everybody tells you if you're going to learn a programming language, learn Rust. Start rewriting all your programs in Rust. Rewrite the Linux kernel in Rust. Of course, some people would label a meme programming language as a useless programming language, you know, something that doesn't have real world use, which is not the case actually with Python or Rust. So if you define your meme programming languages in that way, then I would say things like Haskell and eLisp would probably be meme programming languages. Gabriel, hey DT, why don't you use Parabola? GNU / Linux Libre. It won't run on my hardware, Gabriel. I've taken a look at some of the free Software Foundation approved distributions in VMs. I can install them on my laptops, but I won't have working Wi-Fi, which means I can't live in them. I can test them out because I can always plug in Ethernet and use them for a few days, but it's not something that I would keep on those machines long term, without working Wi-Fi. I could change out the chip, but these machines are old. These are cheap machines that I bought mainly just to test Linux distributions in. I can't invest any money in these machines. They're just not worth it. I mean, I didn't invest more than $200 on any of the 3 laptops I have. So to spend $30 on a new Wi-Fi card, that's crazy, right? On these machines, I'm just not going to do it. Kay, thanks for the super chat. The $5 Canadian super chat. I appreciate that. Did you have a question or a comment, Kay? If you didn't, that's fine. If you leave one in the comments, I'll try to catch it. With a lot of people, of course, in the chat, I may miss it. Umka says, DT, good evening. Good evening to you, Umka. All right. This meme here, I don't know why I saved this photo other than I just thought it was a cool photo. This person made an arch out of CRT monitors, which is pretty cool. I mean, I guess you could say, by the way, I use Arch because you made that. Of course, those things weigh a ton. These, depending on what size they are, without something really to judge. I don't know if it's 15-inch, 17-inch monitors, what they are, but these things are probably 50 pounds, each, to be in that arch like that. I would not want to be anywhere near that thing if it fell apart or shifted on you. And this one here, are you friends? Okay. So I am a Star Trek fan, and of course this was from Star Trek Voyager, and this hot chick is asking these guys, hey, are you 2 friends? And in the show, they answer no and yes at the same time. And of course, this is Arch and Manjaro, right? The Arch guys don't claim Manjaro, and everybody on Manjaro loves to talk about how they use Arch, right? It's just like Arch. Arch is great. If you ask a hardcore Arch fanboy about Manjaro, he'll pretend like it doesn't even exist. Yeah, we've got Palms in the chat. Haskell is the best. Haskell ain't bad. Leviticus says Haskell is a hassle. It's a tough one to get into as far as learning the language, especially if you're not really a programmer. Like I'm not really a programmer. I struggled trying to figure out Haskell a little bit. I still don't know much Haskell. I mean, I know enough where I can, these programs like Xmonad or Pandoc and things like that are written in Haskell. When I look at their source code, I can kind of see what's going on, but I couldn't start from scratch and start writing something in Haskell and actually make a program that was usable. Yeah, DT, do you have a comment on Manjaro's security history? Has Manjaro had security problems? I don't know much about that. Obviously, because they're really tied to the Arch repositories. I mean, they have like a 2-week offset from the Arch repositories. I imagine their security is pretty closely tied with how secure Arch Linux is. And of course, a lot of people, when they talk about Arch-based distributions, bring up things like the AUR as being a security problem. Yeah, but you don't have to use the AUR. I mean, that's a security problem only if you choose to use it. Yeah, DT, I see you use Emacs. Any thoughts on it? Yeah, I've made several videos about it. I love it. So that's the TLDR on it. Yeah, Emacs is great. Yeah, Lisp over Haskell, though. I really need to learn, especially eLisp, a little more. I mean, the code kind of makes sense to me. I just haven't really sat down and really tried to learn eLisp properly. Was reading some of the questions from the chat here. Let's see what the next picture we have here. Asking Arch forums for help. Okay, so asking for help in the Arch forums, you see a guy, he's drowning, he's got his arms up, he's asking for help, somebody's reaching to help him, and then RTFM, they just push him back under. So let's see the RTFM meme there. By the way, I use Arch. Why don't you RTFM? Turn the mug around. The Arch forums are not that bad. The people talk badly about Arch, maybe more than they need to as far as the forums and their IRC chat and things like that. You can find friendly people there. What they don't like is when you put absolutely no time or effort in solving a problem, and like you ask a really ridiculous question that nobody could answer for you, and you expect, to get help. No, you're not going to get help that way. Yeah, I don't know what this one was. Average Arch Linux user. Oh, and did you know that I use Arch? So yeah, I use Arch, yeah. Oh, so what was this one? Okay, so this is the Bible section at a bookstore. They got children's Bibles, different variations of the Bible, different translations. And of course, I guess maybe they mistakenly put the Linux Bible here, which I think I've shown that particular book before to you guys. Not a bad book. I ended up in the wrong directory here. Get back into my memes directory. Oh, I got another super chat here. From Michelle. Appreciate it. Your content brought me to Arch. Cheers, mate. Well, I'm glad you're running Arch. There's a lot of wonderful Linux distributions out there. I mean, Arch. If you're happy on Arch, yes, definitely stick with it. I love Arch, but of course, I can run anything. Really, the reason I tend to stick to Arch these days is because I do these Linux videos, and I'm always installing software, and Arch just makes it easy because I can always find the software I'm looking for in the Arch repos, in the AUR. And then, of course, you can always use snaps, flatbacks, and app images with Arch. They don't care. They don't have a dog in that fight. If you want to use them, use them. If you don't, that's fine too. Nobody's forcing you. Total OS today. I got wine. You got the cannolis? I wish I had a cannoli. Drinking my coffee here. I could use a dessert with it. Yeah, Bradley says, love the Linux Bible. Yeah, it's a great book. Those of you wanting to learn the basics of Linux and the shell. Okay, well, yeah, I'm back in the right directory. Okay, still got image previews working. One of the things with memes is the Debian logo. Of course, everybody loves to find pictures of the Debian spiral. You can find so many spirals in nature that these never get old. I saved this one a while back just because I thought it was funny. These chickens that I guess were spiraling around as they were walking. And it looks just like the Debian logo. And let's see. A girl says, we need to talk. The guy who has the run command shirt says, okay. And she says, you seem to have more time for your computer than me. I want to know how important I am to you. He goes, you're my number one in life. And then he's thinking, but just that I start counting from 0. Because he's a programmer, everything starts at 0, not at 1. So she's the second most important thing in his life, I guess. Yeah, still on the Linux Bible 5.1, yeah. And I showed you guys the, what was it the other day? Linux commands and shell scripting Bible. I showed you guys that book on camera. That's another good one. Yeah, Brant says, in my opinion, coming from Windows to Linux, I found Manjaro to be the easiest to use. It was easy to install, and was, yeah, I'm not sure where he was going with that, but yeah, Manjaro is very easy to install, and it's a really good distribution. Like, there's nothing wrong with Manjaro. They really make Arch easy, and they make Arch easy not just because they have an installer. The installer is great, but I mean, they add some extra stuff. They've got some extra stuff in their own repositories. They really help, like getting the NVIDIA drivers installed and all of that stuff that, for a new to Linux user, you don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff with Manjaro. Manjaro is just going to take care of that for you. So yeah, Manjaro is fantastic. Hey DT, just watched one of your old videos for a reminder. You moved your home directory to another drive. Worked great. Thanks DT. And that was from Mr. GFY. Yeah, so that video I did, I know the one you're talking about, where I was saying you move a folder, any folder, whether it's your home directory or not, to a second drive, to its own dedicated drive. I moved, I think, my music directory to a second drive on camera. I still have it. It's mounted to an extra drive on my machine. Still running great, and it saves me so much time when I reinstall, because I have like 120 gigs of music in that directory. I never have to worry about moving that stuff again. It's on its own separate drive that when I reinstall, I don't have to worry about it getting accidentally deleted or anything. So that was the point. I'm glad you found that video useful. I found not the video useful. I mean, I made the video, but I really found it useful for me doing that myself with my music directory. And I may consider doing that with other directories on my system, maybe my video directory, because it can get kind of big at times. Hey DT, I'm thinking of switching to Gentoo. What do you think about it? Go for it. I mean, I'm never going to tell you not to try out a Linux distribution. If you got something you want to try out, go play with it. See if you like it. You may love it. You may hate it. Personally, Gentoo's not for me, being a content creator, making videos all the time. Just because I don't need to be having my computer sit here and compile software all day. I've got too much stuff to do to waste time on. The updates would take forever. I have so much software installed on my computer. Got like 15 different window managers installed, 4 or 5 different terminal emulators probably. I got like more than 2,000 packages are installed on my Arch-based system. Imagine if all of that stuff had to build from source. That'd be crazy. But that's me. Obviously, for my use case, that wouldn't be a great idea. But if you are one of these people, you install one window manager, something really lightweight that doesn't have much to it. You install just a handful of programs to go along with it. You're one of these ultra minimalists, these suckless guys. Yeah, Gentoo might be great, because then, the fact that you're compiling from source, all your software really won't matter because you're not installing that much stuff anyway. You don't have a bloated system like I do. Yeah, Joel says Gentoo isn't worth the effort, to be honest. Well, I mean, it depends on what you want to do. Some people want to build their own packages with whatever build flags that they want to include. And some people just like tinkering with that stuff and learning about that stuff, Like I said, if you enjoy it, go for it. And if you're like Joel and myself and you don't like that, then don't use it. Somebody was asking Leviticus, how's the gym life going? Went to the gym this morning. I go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week for about an hour and a half or so every time I go. I have noticed, though, especially since, not having a regular job anymore, just doing this and having more time to work out and spending time lifting weights a lot, really, over the last year. But really, I mean, I've been going to the gym regularly for about 5 years now. But here in the last year, I've noticed, put on some weight. Now, not all of that is just fat, but some of it is me putting on muscle, maybe lifting a little bit too much. Especially in the chest and shoulders. I've got shirts that used to fit me now that, you know, really don't, especially, you know, if you, well, you guys can see if I'm, you know, I've got chest and back are kind of thick up here now. I got to be careful with, like, you know, some of my nicer button-up kind of shirts. Some of them I probably just donate to charity or something. I just need to go buy some new clothes. Go up a size. Yeah, that's not a meme there, right? The Apple logo, the Grapple logo. Oh, well, I told you guys we'd make fun of not just Linux on this stream. We'd make fun of Windows and Mac as well. Thanks for the super chat there from the Linux Warrior. Thank you for your continuous content. You empower me to slowly forsake my monotonous gaming and proceed with the vast world of computing and technology. I have a limitless amount of gratitude for you. Thank you, Linux Warrior. I really appreciate that. And Christian, appreciate you as well. He says, hey, DT, would you consider using GNU Geeks plus non-free channels? Probably not. If I was going to use Geeks and start putting proprietary software on it, what was the point of me making, you know, going to all the trouble to use something like Geeks if I'm just going to add proprietary software to it? I just stick with Arch, right? Or if you wanted something similar to Geeks, just go with NixOS. It's basically Geeks, you know, as far as the same kind of philosophy behind it. It's just, you know, you can get proprietary software on NixOS. So yeah, I wouldn't, I mean, it just doesn't make sense really for me to go to the trouble of installing GNU Geeks and trying to make everything work, but then, oh, I can't make it all work, so let me go get this non-free software. I don't know, I'd feel kind of dirty about that. Oh, another Debian in nature. So this is Debian Clouds. Wow, I wonder, yeah, it's a nice photo. If it was a little bigger, I hate I don't have a bigger version of that. And of course, everybody likes to make fun of Emacs and how you can injure yourself with the dangerous key bindings in Emacs because you have Emacs pinky, right? Where you're always trying to reach out for control and escape and everything. And it is bad on your hands. That's why I don't use the standard Emacs key bindings. When I first switched to Emacs, I wanted to learn the default Emacs key bindings, at least at first, just to know them. So I used it for about a month, and I did actually experience some hand pain a little bit using those key bindings. But now that I use Evil Mode, which is your standard, you know, Vim key bindings, yeah, everything's a lot better. So that's Emacs Pinky. Exiting Vim for beginners. This is a nice meme photograph, but whoever used it used a stock photograph that's got watermarks all over it. I would have thought somebody, if your experience with GIMP or Photoshop, could have cleaned that up a little more. They really put no effort into this. Exiting Vim for beginners, yeah, you just pull the plug on the computer, right? I actually made a video one time that was about exiting Vim. I gave you guys like 10 or 12 different ways to exit Vim. And it's a meme video, right? These are not, well, some of them are real ways to exit Vim, but some of them are goofy things like, yeah, unplugging the computer. Let's see what this one is. Oh, the little girl's holding back baby brother because they're scared of the rabbit. I'm not exactly sure about the symbolism with the rabbit in the bucket. I'm assuming this person just found a funny picture and then just labeled it. Linux from scratch users, and then you got the Arch users as the boy crying, and the Gentoo users, and the little girl trying to hold him back, trying to protect him. Or maybe she's putting him in front of her because she's scared too. That's a cute picture, though. Yeah, AstroCat, I use the default key bindings, but I remapped my keyboard. Yeah, and I've got an ErgoDox keyboard, so like Control, I really, you know, you're always hitting Control in Emacs. And I was having a problem with that left pinky from, you know, all the left control keys. But now that I use the ErgoDox, my control key is actually just where Z is on the keyboard. And if I hold Z, it acts as left control. That helps too, because it's not as big of a stretch. Hey DT, what is keeping you away from Artix? Nothing. It's another Arch-based distribution. Like, what would it provide me? If like, why would I wipe out Arco to go to Artix? Like, I'm just gonna take all my configs and it's gonna look exactly the same anyway. So, yeah, there's literally no reason for me to wipe out my existing machine, my main production machine, and go to another Arch-based Linux distribution of any kind. Like, that would be beyond pointless, because at the end of the day, I'm going to have the exact same machine, or the exact same operating system. So I'm not going to use their default desktop environments or anything anyway. I'm always going to set it up to look exactly like you guys see on camera. It really doesn't matter what distribution I run, but it definitely doesn't matter me hopping to another Arch-based distribution. Let's see. Would you ever leave the South? That was from Alan. Alan, I have not always lived in the South. So yes. I would have no problems living anywhere. Like, I'm not tied to being right here. So, yeah, what is the difference between Arco and Arch? Well, Arch is a command line installer, and everything that's on it you have to install yourself. It's much more, a base Arch install is much more minimal, and the Arco installer, they've got different kinds of installations, but they have a graphical installer, a Calamares installer, but the way they've set it up, it's really unique in that you can pick and choose like the suite of software. Like, I can go through and tell Arco in the graphical installer what window manager or what window managers I want to install. I can install several from the installer. I can tell it what text editors I want, what terminal emulators I want, what video editors, audio editor, like, you're not stuck with getting this suite of software that you're going to have to switch out parts, but you're also not stuck in like the command line Arch way where you have to manually tell it every single package that you want installed on your system, right? It's more of a point and click. They give you a list of stuff that you can choose from. You just click what you want. And yeah, Arco's got some really neat things to it. The fact that they have like 26 different ISOs with various window managers is also pre-configured window managers, not vanilla out of the box either. They do some, they have their own applications, like their Arco tweaks tool, and I don't really use any of that stuff. But you guys, if you haven't checked out Arco, you probably should check out that stuff. With tweaking the system and things like that, typically I'm just going to drop to the command line and do everything at the command line anyway. So I don't really use a lot of their graphical applications that the Arco guys have created. When are we going to get some merch on your site? Yeah, I need to take the time to do some merch. It's something I've been meaning to do for forever. Just getting around. I just need to get around to it one day. Coming soon. I don't know. It's coming. I don't know how soon, but I'll let you know. You guys will know when it happens. Yeah, Arco is Arch. It's just shiny and new. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. And Artix is systemd free. Yeah, Artix. Yeah, it's essentially Arch without systemd is all it is. Yeah. You learned to like Garuda KDE Dragonized recently and was surprised you did a review on it some time ago. Yeah, I did that Garuda video about 3 months ago probably. And that thing has a ton of views. Like, it's one of my most popular videos for a video I did just 3 months ago, which is weird. You think your most popular videos, the ones that are going to have the most views, are things that are older and have had time to build up a lot of views. I was really surprised because when I made that video, I'd never even heard of Garuda before somebody just mentioned it to me somewhere online. I was like, well, let me check it out. And then the dragonized ISO. I don't know if people really run that, but you know, when I'm going through their download page, it's not like the first ISO they push on you. I found it lower down on the downloads page. You know, I saw the screenshot. I was like, that looks really neat. That's the one I'm going to do on camera. And I know a lot of people have tried it, and a lot of you guys really love Garuda, because I probably still get comments, you know, 3 or 4 comments every single day of people, hey DT, I just switched to Garuda because of your video. Love it. You know, like a lot of people are really liking it. I also had a few people tell me they switched to Garuda, had problems, and had to switch to something else. So probably some of the fancy graphics and things that go on in Garuda, some of that stuff's going to be hardware related, right? If you got the right kind of hardware, it probably runs great. If you don't, yeah, you might have to go somewhere else. This is a classic. This is one of those classic meme photos. I actually used this in a video one time. I can't remember what video I used this for. But you got GNU, which is the picture of Stallman, Linux, which is, of course, the picture of Linus, then GNU plus Linux, which is this photoshopped. Looks like they used Linus and tried to paste some Stallman facial hair on him. That is a hilarious picture, though. I can understand why. I see this one all over the internet. Anywhere where people start posting Linux memes. Funny, funny picture. Now this one here, of course, this was from the TV sitcom years ago, Friends. And you got the chick here, GNU. She's trying to teach, I guess, the guy. He says GNU / and he repeats / Linux, and then she says GNU / Linux, and he's like, of course, Linux. Right? And it's like that in real life. You can't teach people that it's GNU / Linux. You can tell them over and over again, it's still Linux. And I'm not sure what the context behind this one was when I originally got it, but it is funny. They took the, of course, Grand Theft Auto video game, Grand Theft Gen 2. I don't know, but we got Linus giving the bird, and we got Stallman. Is that a mugshot of Bill Gates as a kid? And then we got Zuckerberg. And then, of course, the rating is proprietary. P for proprietary, of course. I don't know why my browser keeps disappearing here. I don't know what's going on in OBS. Maybe an update issue. Maybe I need to reboot my machine. It keeps losing the browser, but you guys don't need to see my browser today. We can just do everything in Emacs, really. So. Yeah, Garuda is more popular in India. Yeah, I can't remember. Was it? I think the country of origin was India, wasn't it? Maybe it was Indonesia. I can't remember. I know it wasn't a U.S. distribution. Joe Panico, how you doing, sir? He says, hi there, Derek and Linux friends. How you doing, Joe? Yeah, Linus over Stallman in a fight? I don't know. Stallman's got the weight advantage. Well, you know, Stallman's getting up there in age, though. I mean, he's like 70 years old now. He probably should retire from fighting. Linus has got anger issues, though. That may help him. If those two ever tussled, though, watch out. Don't get in the middle of it. Ah, somebody took the picture of Greta. And what did they do with this? How dare you /bin/sh on non-POSIX compliant scripts, ruining my childhood, my dreams. You know what, Greta? I 100% agree with you on this. Would you people please stop using /bin/sh in the shebang of your scripts? Please, just set that thing to bash. Everybody has bash installed that runs a Linux operating system. Just specify bash, because when you specify /bin/sh, that means use the system's default shell, whatever default shell they happen to have set. which if you use a non-POSIX compliant shell, like the fish shell as your system default shell, guess what? That script is not going to work at all. So please, think about the fish users, guys. Think about the fish users. Quit using bin/sh. Please use bin/bash. Ran over. Greta again? Wow. You install Linux the Archway and waste all that electricity. How dare you? She's got a point there too. I can't disagree with her there. These lengthy installations that involve compilation times, I wouldn't say Arch is that way, but things like Gentoo and Geeks, source-based distributions. Yeah, there is an environmental aspect that we should consider. Maybe pre-built binaries is the greener way to go. Yeah, I'm in Qtile and people are asking about the temperatures. I mentioned this on that Qtile video the other day. I'm going to leave the widget on here because people will want to use it. But on my system, the temperature readings are not right because the Threadripper CPU that I have, and this is a known problem with those models of the Threadripper, is they display the temperature higher than it actually is. It has like a 27-degree offset. And I am streaming using CPU encoding, not GPU encoding. So I'm taxing that CPU. The fans aren't even spinning. I know it's not hot, right? That CPU is not even struggling right now. So don't worry about the temperature. It says 85 degrees, take 27 degrees off of it. So, really, I'm like 58 degrees Celsius. And that's streaming using CPU encoding. The Threadripper's a beast. So, but yeah, that temperature, I can actually prove to you that the temperature is okay. And get to a different workspace here. And LM sensors is the package, but if you run the sensors command, if you have LM sensors installed, and let me zoom in here in Alacrity. Where is the TDIE temperature? Right here. See, the one it's showing is this one. That's not right. Again, it's got like a 27-degree offset. That's the real temperature right now, 56 degrees. If I wasn't streaming, that number would be like 38 degrees. It'll cool way down. So don't worry about the temperatures. The temperatures are just fine on this machine. Again, I know people ask about it, and I probably should just remove the widget while I stream, but I like keeping it in my Qtile config. Because again, people use my config, and they may want a CPU widget. It's just a quirk with the Threadripper. Kropotkin, I use dash wherever I can. Well, Ubuntu uses dash, right? That's their default system shell. They still have bash on the machine, though. Like, really, just using bash as your shebang shouldn't affect anybody in a negative way. But using sh in the shebang does affect certain people in a negative way. So, I don't know. It's just one of those things I'm putting out there. Guys, start spreading the message. Tell people to quit using /bin/sh in the shebang. Because there's too many non-compliance shells out there these days that people are using. There's dozens of them now. DT, what browser do you use? I am using Brave at the moment. I've got LibreWolf installed. I use it. Qt browser's also installed. I use it on occasion too. Though Brave is not acting right with me today here in OBS. Although now it's showing just fine. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal there is. And we're going to be here all night, though, if I don't get on with the memes. Let's just run through some memes. I don't know. This isn't even a meme. This is just a really weird i3 screenshot. And I say it's a really weird i3 screenshot because this is a meme here. How many times have you guys seen these kinds of screenshots with these people running i3 or any other tiling window manager, and they have these ridiculous, huge gaps around their windows that nobody in real life uses, but they feel like they have to put it in their screenshots, right? Gaps just make no sense. If you want a gap around a window, at least do it the way I've got it going on. Like in my Emacs window, I've got like a 6 or 8 pixel gap around the edge of the screen. If you want a little gap, to better define where your windows are, hey, that's fine. But whatever, this guy's using like a 30 or 40 pixel gap in a screenshot. Quit doing that, guys. Alt F4, Mod Shift Q. Now, so this is a tiling window manager joke as well. It's really a Windows versus Linux with tiling window managers. Or, you use Windows Alt F4, right, to close a program or to exit. Mod Shift Q, that's not universal amongst all window managers. I'm not sure where they got Mod Shift Q from. Some of them use Mod Shift C out of the box. Some of them you just use Mod Q without the shift. I don't know. I actually prefer this key binding, though, to anything that uses a function key. The function keys, you really should avoid key binding anything important to the function keys. If it's something that you never will use and it's on a function key, that's fine. Obviously, closing windows is something you're going to do all the time. It's probably the most common thing you're going to do in a tiling window manager, for example. Don't bind that thing to something crazy like Alt F4. I know people do it. All right, this particular meme photo, I actually posted this somewhere. I think it may be on my community tab about a year and a half ago. Anyway, it was from the movie It, but it's IT, the IT department. If you don't do a ticket, you'll float too. Yeah, that's kind of funny. They got the balloon attached to the door too. And of course, this guy walks into this huge men's room. He passes all of these urinals because he wants to pee right next to this guy to let him know, I use Vim. Of course, this particular meme is not just a Vim joke. I could easily get into GIMP and replace the word Vim with Arch, right? Because this is the way the Arch users are, right? They got to get right by you unnecessarily. He didn't have to pee right here, right? He's got to get right next to you. By the way, I use Arch. The Arch users are always going to tell you. DT, I have one question. Do you know how to put microphone recording in Conky? Mic audio spectrum in Conky? No clue on that. I don't really play with Conky. I haven't used Conky in years as far as tried to create any kind of Conkys myself in many, many years. Conky's probably completely different now than it was when I used it as far as the syntax and everything. I can't help you with Conky. Conky doesn't make much sense in tiling window managers, which is what I spend most of my time in, which is why I don't use it. Because, of course, Conky sits on the desktop. You never see your desktop. In a tiling window manager, as soon as you open up one window, it takes up the full screen. So why would you want anything important displayed in a Conky if it's going to be hidden all the time by your windows? It just doesn't make any sense. It makes more sense to, you got some important information you need, put it in a widget in the bar, right? Any Vim versus NeoVim memes? There might be. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see here. And to be honest, I had a lot of some funnier stuff than the ones we've gotten through. I actually had 2 other folders of stuff I wanted to show. Some of these were pretty funny. Let's see. Linus and NVIDIA. This was back when both Linus and NVIDIA were still in school. Linus is passing NVIDIA a note secretly in class. I love it. That is hilarious. Linus was quite the prankster when he was a kid. And of course, here's the classic Linus giving the bird, except this time it just says, this finger wrote Linux. Yeah. Now, this is not a meme photo. This is an actual photograph I found on the internet one time. I actually used it for a thumbnail, I think, of one of my videos, or I actually used it as part of a slideshow. I think Why Use Mac When Linux Exists was the name of the video. And in the slideshow, one of the very first pictures I used was this because I thought it was hilarious. It's a MacBook with a Starbucks cup next to it. Actually, it looks like it was taken inside a Starbucks. There's the menus. Because everybody inside Starbucks is always on a MacBook. I don't understand it. You've got all of these crazy looking people. I mean, these are some really woke people too. I mean, some of them look or dressed as hippies and you got dreadlocks and, just some, these college types, right? And they all got their MacBooks and they've all got their Italian macchiato with their extra shot of vanilla that they paid $10 for and these expensive MacBooks. But if you start asking them like political views, they are completely against capitalism, right? It's actually pretty funny. But I don't want to get on that topic. Anyway, I just think they go together, MacBooks and Starbucks. As you can't separate them now. They're like a duo. They are like GNU plus Linux, MacBook plus Starbucks. Matter of fact, speaking of duos, I've got this one from Twitter a while back, a year or two ago. I don't know who these girls are in the picture are. It doesn't really matter, but I guess they're famous. And somebody posted, name a more iconic duo. I'll wait. And then somebody posted this picture, GNU/Linux. We are so mainstream now. People on Twitter are posting GNU/Linux. Name a more iconic duo. My coffee has gotten cold. Starbucks is bloated. You will be bloated if you drink some of those drinks at Starbucks. Some of them have a ton of sugar in them. You really need to read the fine print before you order some of those drinks. I like a Starbucks every now and then, but again, not some of the really sweet, syrupy things that they serve. That stuff will kill you. Yeah, SB/Mac, yeah. Someone needs to make a Starbucks Linux. Yeah, make a Starbucks Linux designed mainly to be a Linux that you install on a MacBook. Dunkin' Donuts coffee is superior. I don't know anything about Dunkin' Donuts coffee. It's not something we have in my neck of the woods. I don't have any Dunkin' Donuts. But if you tell me their coffee is good, I'll definitely check it out. I'm traveling, I come across one. What is this? Santa and the little girl. For Christmas, I want a dragon. Santa says, be realistic. I want official FOSS NVIDIA drivers for Linux. And then Santa says, what color do you want your dragon? She says, red. Oh, the NVIDIA jokes, right? Because NVIDIA is never going to give us an open source driver. I mean, we just know that. People who use Manjaro, okay. People who use Arch, of course, are the penguins in the background. And then the random cat, who's also black and white. These are the people who say they use Arch, but use Manjaro. Right? He's hoping nobody will notice. Oh, poor Manjaro users getting made fun of today. This meme photo I actually created myself because I used it either in a video or in a community post. I can't remember. Anyway, she's whispering. It says, it's so sexy when she whispers those 4 little words. By the way, I use Arch, which is not 4 words, but I can't count apparently. Signs of the Zodiac. And look for Cancer, because the Cancer has been changed. It says the Windows logo. Yeah, we got to make fun of Windows and Mac when we can, because we're going to make fun of Linux a lot today. Of course, sudo is the magic word, right? What's the magic word to get what you want? He's holding a cookie in front of the little boy. He says, sudo. Yeah, Michelle has a super chat. Thank you, Michelle. Name a more iconic duo. Newbie to Vim plus ALJKBSS. Yeah, right. The crazy key bindings you have to learn. They're not that crazy, though. They're not really key bindings. They're just motion keys for the most part. Yeah, Mr. GFY. You can tell the privilege level of someone based from their MacBook model. Yeah. Well, the college students, all of them have nice MacBooks. You know, they get a substantial discount on those things. You know, Apple cuts them a discount. You know, I can't pay for a MacBook. I can't. Even if I didn't mind running Apple hardware, when I have some problems, you know, supporting that particular company, even if I didn't mind it, you know, the price is kind of ridiculous, really, for what the hardware actually is. Let's see. Yeah, r/Linux memes. Yeah, there's a couple of good subreddits. For those of you wanting a place to go get funny Linux memes like these, there's a couple of subreddits that's all they are. There's r/Linux memes, and there's r/Linux master race. And both of those are great. I would show some of those live here on camera, but I'd have to preview them before I showed them on camera because you never know what's safe for work and what's not. I mean, some of the ones I've got are a little edgy, but nothing crazy. But on Reddit, yeah, you never know what somebody might post. And that was Terry Davis dancing. That's a GIF, an animated GIF. You guys have seen Terry dance. Obviously, he's not going to dance in Emacs. I'd have to open that up in something else. Tiling window managers. Wow. Okay, so we have the two monkeys here, GNOME and KDE, and it looks like they are about to fight. They both have knives in their hands. And then cheering are all these tiling window managers. Spectre, i3, BSPWM, Sway, awesome. Yeah, kill each other, GNOME and KDE, right? Time flies. So we have all of these operating systems from 1991 sitting here looking at a sunset together. And then we fast forward 2021, 30 years later. Nothing but tombstones. But Linux is still sitting there. Yeah. Quite accurate. Let's see what this one is. This old guy here smiling in front of a computer. There's so many memes with this same picture. He says, "Oh, look, somebody changed my operating system to Ubuntu Linux. Guess I can't do about 70% of what I do on Windows." Yeah. Well, I don't know. Depending on when they created this particular meme, yeah, can you not do what you do on Windows? Not necessarily. It's different now. 15 years ago, yeah, you couldn't do much of what you were doing on Windows on Ubuntu. Now, if you switched, there's really not that much you would miss. Now, there's a few special applications that some people will need that won't be there. But for most average computer users, yeah, they're probably not going to miss anything now. Let's see, Ubuntu Updates. This is the automatic updates in Ubuntu. They've recently added this where it automatically updates when it needs to. Although it's not like Windows. It's not as invasive as Windows. But some people had a problem with that. You've become the very thing you swore to destroy, right? You can turn those off in Ubuntu, though. It's completely different than Windows. Here's another oldie but goodie, Of course, this is from the I'm a PC, I'm a Mac commercial. Of course, they changed it. Here, this guy, Vim, this guy, Emacs, and then the third guy shows up, Adam. And then the Vim and Emacs guys start beating him up. It's like the Vim and Emacs guys can at least respect each other, but when somebody shows up and says Adam... I don't know what movie this is from, but this is funny too. I'm assuming, they can't get to whoever it is that needs help, so they had to write it on a message board. And of course, he needs to escape. How does he escape? :Q exclamation point, right? Another Vim joke. Another Vim joke. This one was from Twitter too. And this was, you know, like a real tweet. Anyway, somebody was posting that if you have a touch bar Mac, that there's literally no way to exit Stadia. You need to hold the physical escape key, and it doesn't have one, so you're trapped. So I guess when Stadia was first released, you know, there's certain Macs that don't have an escape key, so you cannot exit Stadia on a Mac. And then somebody posted this response: finally, Vim for gamers, because you can't exit, right? Yeah, Big Pod says those updates have been there for quite a while. In Ubuntu, well, I mean, I started using Ubuntu a long time ago. So when I said they recently added them, I was, 3-4 years. I didn't mean like this week, right? DT, do you have a Reddit account? I do. I do have a subreddit, and I always, when I post a video, I post to, there's a DistroTube subreddit. I don't hang out on Reddit. You could post there. I probably won't respond. You guys can message me. I'll read the messages. I doubt I'll respond. Mainly because I just get too many messages on social stuff. You know, people will post messages to me on Reddit and Mastodon and YouTube and other platforms. People find me. So if you don't get a response, don't take it personally. I just don't have time to respond to everything people send me. But I always read the messages. Unless it's just something completely asinine. You know, if I read a couple of lines and I realize it's just a troll post or something, yeah, then I probably won't read the whole thing. I'll probably just hit delete and move on. It's 1:31 a.m. here in Germany. Time to go to bed. Yeah, we've been streaming for about an hour. You know what? I'll probably go another, 15 minutes or so. Why don't we wrap this up? Let's do a speed round of meme photos. Let's really get through these. I only had one more, I think, in this folder here. What was this? Vim, Emacs, and Nano. So Vim is a knife, right? It's surgical. Usable in just about any environment. Does one thing well. Emacs, it's a Swiss Army knife, right? It's the utility knife. It's flexible, customizable, packed with every feature known to man. And Nano is a spork, and it's different color. Is it a plastic spork? I don't get it. Mostly used by people who do not know what they are doing. And then a semicolon, or psychopaths. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Let's get into the Richard Stallman memes. Here's some that are specifically Richard Stallman. Turn on the image previews. Now, this is Photoshop. This is not, this picture, they Photoshopped Richard in this. I don't think this was him. But some guy, of course, had a major injury here to his arm and his hands. It says Emacs, not even once, because people are scared to death of carpal tunnel and repetitive stress injuries from using the Emacs, the standard GNU Emacs key bindings. And that's an oldie but goodie there, GNU, a new fragrance by RMS. That's one I like to post every now and then. I used that in a thumbnail one time too. This guy interviewing RMS, and why is his belly? Yeah, why didn't he button up the bottom of his shirt? That's just Richard. That's just strange. That's Richard dancing, but the animated GIFs aren't going to work. That's Richard as the devil. That's the classic Richard facepalm. And then there's all kinds of Richard using his laptop in various places picture. Here he's riding a pony, which he is a huge guy to be riding such a small pony. I mean, let's be honest. And then why is he using the computer riding the pony? Right? And there he is again, lounging. He still didn't button up the bottom of his shirt. He just doesn't care, right? RMS doesn't give a F. And of course, Richard, he loves his laptops. And finally, let's make fun of DT. So, I've got some DT photoshops. These are photoshops of me that people have sent me at various times. I don't know what the point of this one was. I don't know. Somebody posted this over on 4chan one time. I saved it. This came from a guy over on my Mastodon instance. Of course, Bob Ross. He gave me the Bob Ross afro. And I'm painting the Arch logo. And DT is Captain America, I guess. By the way, I run Arch. I do. You know, the hair is actually, like, if I grew hair, that would... It's pretty close to probably what it would look like, except my hair is not that light, right? It's brown hair. It's not black hair. It's brown hair, but it's a darker brown. He got the shade wrong. He was close, though. This was DT as a zombie. Somebody, I guess there's a zombie filter. You can run photos through of real people, and it'll give you them as a zombie. And, of course, many of you guys have seen this Photoshop here. I posted this on my community tab a while back because I did that Hey DT episode where I specified that DT is not bald, and I put it in bold font across the bottom of the screen when I said it. Somebody cut that out and then gave me hair and tattoos and all kinds of stuff in there. That proprietary software is the bus? I don't know. And then DT is the train hitting it. I'm out of memes, guys. We'll catch up on the chat here. DT, why are you bald? I'm not bald. Now, we just discussed that. Hey, DT, why are you afro, or why do I not have an afro? Well, I don't think I could grow an afro because my hair, when I had hair, it's been 20 years since the last time I grew my hair out. It's not curly, right? I couldn't make it poof. You know, I don't have the poof hair, right? If I did, I think that would be kind of cool. Because, you know, people are, you know, things come back in style all the time. They're kind of like retro gaming and retro computing. Same thing with, you see people now going back to the 70s and wearing big afros and bell-bottom jeans and things like that. Somebody's talking about ketchup. I don't know why we're talking about food, but why ketchup? That's not even really a food. That's just a condiment. What are you putting the ketchup on? DT, do you make or produce music? I saw you have a wicked cool audio rag. No, I don't make or produce music. I wish I did. I don't really have the time to get into that stuff, although I guess I should. I mean, I have degrees in music, and I do, of course, play several musical instruments. It would be cool to experiment with that kind of stuff, but it'd take up a lot of time, and people have asked me maybe create a second channel specifically about music, you know, musical topics or playing music, things like that, or just discussing musical history or theory or things like that, which would be interesting. But a second channel, you know what, if I want to talk about music on occasion, you know, once or twice a year, I'll do like a musical kind of video, but I'll just do it on this channel. We're not starting a second channel. We just don't have time to post regular content on a different topic on another channel somewhere. I appreciate the super chat. That's from the Linux Warrior. He says, thank you for the entertaining stream on this Sunday night, Mr. Taylor. Appreciate that, sir. It was a little bit of a different kind of stream. I've been collecting some of these photos, especially the photos of me and of Richard Stallman. You know, anytime somebody photoshops me, I'll try to save it now. If it's something that's appropriate that I can share. Now, the one thing I didn't have in my memes or my photoshopped pictures folder, occasionally people will send me photoshops of other YouTube creators, Linux content creators on YouTube, sometimes you know, just general tech content creators on YouTube. And some of those I wouldn't want to post on a stream like this. I don't mind posting the ones of me. We can make fun of me, but, you know, other people might take offense, you know. I know I'm not going to take offense to the stuff of me, so I'll show those. And I've talked to Richard. Richard doesn't care. Richard knows people make fun of him, so. He doesn't care about all the crazy pictures we show of Richard. Michelle, by the way, I stole all your wallpapers. Hey, that's what they're there for. So, hope you enjoy them. DT, what was the first Linux distro that you used? That would have been Ubuntu. Ubuntu, I think it was 804. What was 804? I probably should Google the name of the code name of it, but I want to say it was Hardy Heron. I think was that version. As far as me switching to Linux full-time on the desktop, that's what I switched to. Yeah. Now, had I tried Linux before that? Yeah, other Linuxes, yeah. I was aware of what Linux was, long before that, though. Let's see. Got a cheers from Brazil, from Victor. Appreciate that. DT, I hear lately that Linus himself doesn't know what's going on in the 20 million lines of the Linux kernel. Yeah, and Linux is not totally open source. Well, there's definitely proprietary blobs, but I mean, you can strip it and make it fully open source. You don't have to put proprietary. That's the one thing, especially if you compile it yourself. And of course, you got the Linux Libre kernel, which is maintained by the GNU guys. That's 100% free. There's a reason the Linux kernel has to have the proprietary drivers and stuff in the kernel. Is because if they didn't, nobody would ever use Linux. Linux would not be where it is today if you couldn't get it installed on a laptop and Wi-Fi works. Why would anybody use Linux? You have to have some of those proprietary bits there. It's just they're not part of the kernel itself, really. There's these extra bits to it. I mean, the kernel itself, of course, is GPL'd software. But to have a working kernel, depending on your hardware, yeah, you're going to have some proprietary drivers for some of your hardware. Though hopefully in the next few years, we start seeing a lot more hardware that has open source drivers. Hopefully we start seeing more open hardware. And I think that's the next step. I think now that we've won this fight, this open source software fight, I think the next thing is open hardware. I think that's where a lot of the open source software crowd, they're going to start trying to win that battle, is getting away from all of this lockdown hardware that we all have to use. Another super chat here from Bradley. He says, for all the times I felt guilty for not being a patron. I appreciate that, Bradley. Don't feel guilty, though. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Don't subscribe to me if it would be a hardship. Let's see. R. Anderwill. Another super chat. What do you think of E-login, D-login, systemd? Man, that is a weird sentence without any spaces. It's something about systemd. Systemd I have no problems with. Yeah. I've got nothing for you there on that one. Don't really care about systemd one way or another. It's just an init system. It works, As far as did I wish it wasn't, 2 million lines of code or whatever the heck it is nowadays. Yeah, I mean, I get people say it's bloated or whatever, but unless I'm auditing the code, it doesn't matter. DT, what IRC client do you recommend? Any good GUI ones? Yeah. So if you want a graphical one, one of the nicest ones, if you don't mind a KDE application, but maybe you use KDE Plasma or LXQt. If you use one of those desktops, you already got a lot of KDE stuff anyway, and you probably already have Conversation with a K. If you don't want to go that route, I would suggest HexChat. HexChat is a GTK-based GUI IRC client. Both of them fantastic, easy to use. If you wanted a terminal-based one, you've got Ursi, which I think I've done videos on in the past. There's another one called WeChat, 2 E's, WeChat. And of course, you could always use ERC inside Emacs if you're an Emacs user. Had to throw that one out there. DT, eLogInD and bus1. I don't know. I don't even know what the hell eLogInD does. Sorry. Again, I don't care about systemd. I mean, I'd have to do a search for what even eLogInD is. That's systemd projects logInD extracted to a standalone package. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to read it here on camera though. Yeah, so I'm just going to give you. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. Init systems aren't really that much of an interest for me. I mean, I'm not an IT guy. Don't work in IT or system administration or anything like that. So I just, for my init system, does the machine boot up? That's all I care about. Other than that, starting and stopping services with systemd works. And if I really wanted to do like timers, cron jobs with systemd, yeah, I could do that. But all the extra features with systemd, I don't use them. I don't know about them. So. And be honest, I wouldn't use systemd timers anyway. I still just use cron jobs, right? Like the old school cron commands. Let's see. Why Arco instead of Arch? You're asking why I have Arco instead of Arch? It's because I installed Arco. Yeah. So if you're asking why you should use Arco instead of Arch, I don't know. I mean, it depends on you. Let's see. Well, I've used mainline Arch, though, plenty of times. So, right. There's nothing wrong with it. I like keeping up with what Arco does. I really like that distribution. Arco is doing big things as far as making Arch accessible to the world, but I think they're really making Linux more accessible to the masses, too. I think I'm proud to promote Arco. That's why I run it. That's why I talk about it on my channel. Or I don't talk about it that much, but when you guys ask me, of course, I mention I run Arco. And I support them on their Patreon. I think I'm a subscriber. I'm pretty sure I'm a subscriber for the Arco Patreon. Support a few different Linux distributions through Patreon. Of course, most of them I don't use, obviously. I use Arco, but the rest of them I just give them money because I know I support, pretty sure I support Slackware on Patreon. Have no interest in using Slackware, but the dev, you know, I like the fact that he's still working on that distribution 30 years later, and I want to support that guy. You know, I don't want Slackware to ever die. Michelle, hey DT, what about Suicide Linux? Don't really know much about it, other than isn't that the one that if you enter a command wrong in the terminal, like if you mistype something, you instead of getting an error, it wipes out the system. Sounds like a fun game. It probably would be fun in a VM. But obviously it's not a real Linux distribution, so I don't know what kind of answer you want there. It's not a Linux distribution that anybody would use. But if as far as for fun and games, yeah. Hey, if you want to kill some time, put it in a VM. See how long it lasts. And one more from Linux Warrior. Hey DT, 2 questions. If you don't mind, how do you change yourself to prioritize function over appearance in window managers? And what books do you find magnificent reads? Okay, well, we can get pretty deep into that, but all right, function over appearance in window managers is nobody's ever going to see your window manager other than you. So, I mean, I've spent a little time to make my Qtile desktop look nice, right? This is not a bad looking desktop, but let me get over here to this monitor here. You know, like I have gaps in my config, small gaps, like 6 or 8 pixels, because I know people are going to want to know. It's one of the first questions people ask me. How do I add gaps to such and such window manager? So in all my window managers, I have gaps in my configs, just so you guys, when you look at my configs, you can see it's there. You don't have to ask me about it, because I don't want to have to answer that question a bajillion times. If I didn't do this YouTube channel and it was just me, I wouldn't have gaps. There's no point in having these gaps. Like, it's just wasted space. Yeah, the gaps look good when you're sharing it on video, displaying it on video, sharing screenshots on r/Unix porn, but does it really do anything for you at all? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, most of the time, like if I wasn't showing stuff on video, here is, the way I would typically run something. I'd probably launch Emacs because I do everything inside Emacs, and then I'm just going to make it full screen. I don't even need the bar. I know what workspace I'm on, and of course Emacs will handle splits, and I could even have tabs inside of Emacs if I was crazy. I don't know why you'd do both splits and buffers and tabs. That would get confusing, but yeah, so how do you learn to prioritize that? Well, if you're not sharing screenshots or videos of your desktop, why does it matter? Nobody will ever see it. As far as books that are magnificent reads, I don't read as much these days. As far as you're asking about nonfiction. Like nonfiction, I mean, Linuxy books, I've mentioned things like the Linux Shell Scripting Bible. I've mentioned Free as in Freedom, and the Eric Raymond book, what is it? Cathedral and the Bazaar. Those are all great reads. You're talking about fiction. I really haven't been into fiction in a long time. So, used to be a big Stephen King reader, though. I've read most of his books. Some of my favorite books by King are The Stand, It, the Dark Tower series. I've read the Game of Thrones books. I read them actually, before they made the TV series and all that. I was into those books, the George R.R. Martin books, and those are fantastic reads too. Tolkien, if you want to go classic, right? I was one of those Lord of the Ring nerds before the Lord of the Ring movies. But I don't read much anymore. But if I did, I like horror, suspense, I like sci-fi, fantasy. I'm a geek. Let's see. Another super chat here from Purser Pro. I agree. Arco is great. It really is. Yeah. If you haven't checked it out, people ask me about Arco. If you haven't checked it out, just spin it up in a VM. It literally takes you 10 minutes to install the thing. Maybe 10 minutes, depending on your hardware. There's no reason to ask me about Arco constantly. Hey, why you use Arco? I don't know. Have you tried it? But you know what? I haven't really done like a Arco in-depth video, especially on the installation process, in a while. Maybe I need to address this on camera in a video. Maybe soon. I don't hate that idea. Maybe something we do soon. Let's see. All right, guys. I got another super chat here. We're going to kill the stream here in another couple of minutes. So anything you got to say, get it in now so we can get it forever recorded on YouTube. The Linux Collective. He left a super chat. He says, "Hey, DT, thanks for the great content. Out of interest, what was your first impression of Arch?" My first impression, I couldn't tell you. I mean, my first impression of Arch was the installation process wasn't that hard. You read the Arch wiki, you get it installed. And of course, this was the first time I installed Arch would have been years ago, right? And it's a different install process now than it was then. It's probably a little easier now than it was then, but even then, it wasn't hard to install. My first impressions of Arch, though, being new to how rolling release distributions work, is a lot of packages updated all the time, and you tend to have things break. If you didn't know what you were doing, if you were a new user, they would be major deal breakers. Things break. You don't know how to fix them. Oh my God, do I have to reinstall? Of course, now, once you know a little something, if you've been around Linux for a little while, I won't say Arch never breaks, but it's like minor little paper cuts, right? Like about a year ago, there was a major Python update that broke all my Python apps. Wasn't a big deal. All of my Python apps, I needed to reinstall them. The ones from the AUR, typically. Reinstall those, they all worked again. Once you knew what the problem was and how to fix it, it wasn't a big deal. Many times, there may be a problem with a driver update, graphics driver update. Get a graphics driver update, reboot the machine, get the black screen, right? The driver's bad. No big deal, right? Use a live USB stick, get back in the thing, install the right driver. Reboot, boom, it works again. But I understand, like, a brand new user would have no idea. They'd get a black screen and think, oh, I broke my computer. My computer no longer works. What do I do? Right? I have to hop to a different Linux distribution. No, once you've seen these issues a few times, broken grub screens, broken grub installs, especially those of you that dual boot, after a while, you kind of know Windows destroyed grub. Let me fix it. And you know how to fix it. And of course, if you fix it enough times, eventually what you probably realize is dual booting is probably not worth it. Run Windows in a VM. Just run Linux on your main production machine. Run Windows in a VM when you need it. Otherwise, Windows is constantly going to want to destroy your grub. Yeah, well, Linux Warrior, thanks for the response, Mr. Taylor. Extremely valuable, and I can never express enough gratitude for a pragmatic, straightforward person like you. Thank you for the kind words, sir. Let's see. DU Tifo, hope I pronounced that correctly. Hey, DT, when will you do your next Gen 2 video? Or never? It's one of those things I need to do another Gen 2 installation video. Sometimes it's been a couple of years since I installed Gen 2 and did anything with it on camera. Now, I'm not a Gen 2 guy. I don't live in it, and it's not something I work with all the time. And but I could install it, and on my equipment now, I've got better equipment now. A Gen 2 installation wouldn't take me. It would take me a couple of hours probably, and I'd do it in a VM. I couldn't do it on my test equipment. My laptops, I mentioned, they're really cheap machines. Like, that would be just excruciating. It'd be an all-day event, maybe a 2-day event. I can't do that. I'd do it in a VM on my beefy production machine here. Yeah, I'd give it plenty of CPU, though. The Threadripper would have no problem, compiling things pretty quickly. So yeah, I do need to get around to it at some point. We'll do some more Gen 2 stuff. People have asked me, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you just lived in Gen 2, learn some Gen 2, then you can make videos about Gen 2 for us, the viewers. Yeah, I just have too much. I have to change completely everything I do. Like, I couldn't have all these window managers that I have installed or play around with a lot of them, because it would just be too much being updated all the time, right? Imagine, I have 200 Haskell updates almost every day. Around 200 to 250 Haskell updates every single day on my machine, just because I have Xmonad and I have Pandoc installed on my system. Now imagine I'm on Gen 2 and maybe that stuff has to compile, right? And that's one window manager. I have 15 installed. But yeah, we'll do something on Gen 2 soon. That's another one I've been meaning to get around to. Alright guys, well I'm going to go ahead and kill the stream. I appreciate you guys for hanging out. Thanks for all the super chats, those of you that left the super chats. And for those of you that were asking questions and comments in the chat, I appreciate it. We still have a couple hundred people hanging out here, even after an hour and a half. Of course, before I go, I do want to thank the patrons of the channel. So I'm going to show you guys some names on the screen. I want to thank each and every one of these ladies and gentlemen as well, because they help support my work over on Patreon. And yeah, Kai Linux in the chat, congrats on the 100K. Appreciate that, buddy. All right, guys. Well, take care. Peace.